Heads up, Talk Tacticas. Another day, another acronym. Okay, this one is SOAZ. Last week I talked prep. This time it's SOAZ. SOAZ stands for self, others, audience, Zen. And it's, to call it a hierarchy is flattering it, but let's pretend for now. It is a hierarchy of who to tell your stories about when you're using stories in your presentation. So step one at the base of the ladder is stories about self. And they're great, but, I mean, they're better than no stories, but they do make you very much to be the hero, and that can be a little alienating for audiences, particularly if they don't know you or don't trust you. So instead of telling stories about self, try telling stories about others, about organizations or people that the people in your audience will know or know about and can identify with. It makes you less alienating. And then, try telling stories about the audience, not them particularly specifically necessarily, because that will freak them out, but people who are exactly like them, so they can see the relevance of it and they start to trust it much, much more. Speaking of trust, the people they trust more than anybody else in the world are themselves. By definition, anything you tell yourself must be true. So Zen stories are those stories you get the audience to tell themselves. I mean, sometimes they tell each other, but ideally they are stories that they tell themselves. And they can be triggered by something like a question, such as, think back about, or do you remember a time when you, or can you see how this, or anything that gets them to go, oh yeah, this is true, and they work it out for themselves. One word of caution about Zen stories: people sometimes don't want to have to work that hard, so if you ask them how good the presentation was, they might mark you down a fraction because they wanted to be passive. But trust me, it's worth the effort because it gets them to be actively engaged and remember stuff, such as how the hell to finish a present. Oh God, I've done it again, haven't I?